Yo, it's Marcus Cooper, and we had a pretty exciting day in the market. We had a huge day with Palantir stock, with Tesla stock, and a super interesting thing that happened with the S&P 500, something that we were watching and thinking would happen. And what are these lines I put here with Palantir stock? Well, we're going to get into all of that and more now. But before I get into this video, if you get any value from this content, don't forget to put a smash down on that like button. It really helps this content, helps other people see this video. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to this channel. It's free to do, and I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so Palantir stock right here. So let's get into the question real quick. What are these lines that we have drawn here on the stock chart? So these lines, these 6 lines, and it's interesting to just think that these lines are pretty equidistant to each other. So these are when Ark Invest bought Palantir stock more than 1 million shares. So basically, this is when Auntie Kathy has been buying the effing dip. And one thing to note here, and a reason why I think it's pretty important to be aware of her buys, of Ark Invest buys, is because I think Palantir stock would have been significantly lower if it wasn't for Ark Invest to continuously buy the effing dip on Palantir. So we see that here. And what can these price points tell us of when they bought and how did the stock price react? First of all, how it reacted the next day is almost always positive. I'm not saying that it's only because of the buys that they made, but generally speaking, from the lows of when we close, when we hear about that they bought, the next day has definitely been an uptick in price. So that is pretty interesting. And we saw that again happen today. And I even mentioned when I saw that Kathy bought more Palantir stock that the bottom is in. I mentioned this in several different places, including the Discord. If you're interested in the Discord, that I'm very active within the day and you would like to reach out to me or anything like that, definitely join the Discord. It's free to do in the description of this video. And having said that, so what can we think about this stock price? We talked about in our last update that this line here is still pretty important and we'd expect price to get above this line. So I kind of thought that intraday, it wouldn't have been surprising if price actually hit the top of this line. So price did not hit the top of this line. We got close. Tomorrow, maybe we gap above this line. Maybe we fill the gap intraday. This is a possibility. We also have to be aware of the fact that we had a massive run in the S&P 500. This could be followed by some give back to a certain extent. We've had a massive rally to the upside and we've been expecting prices of 415 and even 420. And to get there though, we were expecting a retracement to go back to the line that we broke out from and test this line. And literally in our last episode, I talked about, well, we could gap below here, but I think this time we're going to stay above this. And this time it's going to act as support. This line that has been acting as resistance, 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 finally acting as support. But this was something that did not happen in the past. In the past, whenever we got to this line, we instantly gapped below it. We instantly went below this line again here. Every time we broke out from this breakout area, we went below it. So this has not been something that history supported in any way, but at the same time, because we had a hypothesis that this time is going to be different, and this time we're going to break out and it was going to act as support. And that's exactly what happened. Now, the next time we go down to this line will not necessarily hold if we actually go back down again. So we have to be paying close attention to what happens next. I do think we might have a give back day or just a quiet day in the next 1 or 2 sessions, possibly. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. We could gap up again, of course, but that is something that could happen. The bullish side would say that, well, we end up closing at the highs of the day, and that's very bullish. So regardless, it looks like we're going to go up at some point, whether it is tomorrow or the next day. This is looking pretty bullish, but we have to be careful. If we do end up going back down here, we could break this line. So let's take a quick look at Tesla stock before we jump back to Palantir stock. So a few things about Tesla stock here is that we are getting continuous support from the 50 period moving average that we can see. So that is encouraging. We got support. We bounced off of it right over here, and we had a massive day with Tesla stock. We've been saying for this stock is that we think basically we're going to have a rebound and run up with earnings coming up. And now the question is are we going to get back to this line up here, or is it possible that we might fall a little bit short and actually we might end up going more to this line over here? So we can get a sense of where we think we might hit tomorrow, essentially. So if we are thinking that this line could act as resistance again, so we have to keep in mind that we went above it here. So that doesn't mean we can't go above this line, but for tomorrow's price action, I wouldn't be surprised to see us hit this right here. And where is that exactly? So let's take a look. So tomorrow we would be at a price point of about 760 bucks. So this is an interesting point where we could hit close to 760 bucks tomorrow. So keep that in mind. So tomorrow we could see a price get as high as that. And that's if this is going to be acting as significant again. The other point above that again would be a move all the way to this line here. This is 780. Keep in mind, if we end up seeing a broader pullback in the market, Tesla could be taken back down and again hitting this area down here one more time. So let's go back to Palantir stock. So if we look at here and we looked at where Kathy bought into the stock over here, and does this mean that now is a good time for Palantir stock? So it looks like Palantir stock is setting up for a significant move. Now the question is, Palantir has earnings coming up in May, and it looks like we probably need to break out before then. And one other thing I want to mention is that this bottom trend line here, this does encompass a lot of price action. But one thing that we could also take a look at that could also be arguably more significant is a slightly different line. And we're talking about basically the line, just looking at the bottom of recent price action and something along like this. This is pretty significant price action here. And the reason why I'm mentioning this, depending on whichever one's more important, whether it is this descending triangle or this wedge, the main point here is to be aware of is that we are reaching the apex, whether it's over here or whether it's down over here. The main point is that we are going to see a breakout pretty soon. So this is exciting, and we just need to know and be prepared for which way we end up breaking out. So if we're looking at this descending triangle here, we have this amplitude here, and we can expect a move to take us, let's say we break out soon, maybe tomorrow or the next day. Let's just split it. We can see a price target that can take us up here. So that would take us to 28 something, but if we went to the downside, let's say we broke out to the downside, not tomorrow, but let's say the next day, maybe it takes 2 more days, right, to break to the downside, we would then look at a price target of closer to $15. So these are the price targets depending on which way we break out, whether it's to the upside or whether it is to the downside. And this is going to happen soon. Not that we're going to get to the price target very soon, but we're going to see a breakout to the upside or to the downside pretty soon. And this is exciting. And it might take weeks or months to finally get to the price target, or maybe it happens sooner. We'll see. And we're going to follow this stock. And we have been watching this stock very closely. And it is interesting that Kathy bought again. Well, I hope you guys got some value from this content. If you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel for more content like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. And keep in mind that none of this is financial advice. This is just some random guy on YouTube drawing some stick figure lines on a chart talking to you guys.